Yo, yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Fade, and you're listening to Attack of the Beats on IllMuzik.com. Here we are once again, another 5 beats, another 5 reviews, and once again, I'm overwhelmed with beats to review, so that's pretty good. It's both a blessing and a curse, I guess you could say, whatever, you know. But it's fun. It's fun doing this stuff, you know. And but, you know, I mean, I just wish you guys would give me a little more feedback in the forums or whatever. Let me know what's up, you know, with the show. I mean, actually, what would be good is if everyone, not just the ones that are on the show, but just everyone just gave their feedback on the beats as well, let's say, you know, like just some quick feedback or whatever, you know. So, and yeah, maybe that'll just get things going a little better or something. I don't know. Anyway, all right, so whatever that means. All right, so we'll get started right away. First up, we got Dan the Man with Heavy Whip. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Dan the Man with Heavy Whip. All right, so for this one, you know, it's kind of funny because it's a well put together beat. That's the number one thing I like about this thing. Okay, I think the only problem really is just the fact that it's the mix needs to have some adjustments to it. So, for example, the drums, they're good. It's just that I just find that they could sit better in the mix. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they're a little overpowering because you have that background synth. That's just kind of, you know, very low in the mix, whatever, you know. So I think that if you just, you know, leveled off the drums a little better there, you know, and then at the end, I hear that other synth you bring in stuff, you know, and that was really good because I thought that should be throughout the whole beat because that was really nice, you know. So at first I was like, what's he doing here at the end, bringing this thing in, you know? So then I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, this is actually really good. So then I think it should be all the way throughout the beat, you know. I mean, all the way through. And if you do that, you know, I mean, of course, you know, again, mix it properly, make sure the levels are good and all that. Then it'll be a really, really good beat, you know. And the other thing too is, I'm not sure if it's the drums or if it's the bass line. I think it's the bass line. Is that it just sounds like it's kind of hollow, let's say, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's like it's one of those things when you have in the mix you have. Or I mean, that's just the mix, but when you have some certain sounds that are just kind of like distant in the background and stuff. So that's what the bass line kind of sounds like. So that's why, you know, take a look at that, you know, just maybe rework that or something like that. But I think overall it's just the mix itself. But the beat itself is really, really good and stuff. But like I said, I just wish you'd bring in that end synth part, bring that in at the beginning, you know what I mean? Because that was really, really good. So, but I like it. It's a good beat, man. It's really smooth shit. All right, so next up we've got Matt D with Blue Sky. Let's check it out. All right, all right. Okay, so that was Matt D with Blue Sky. All right, so here's another smooth beat. This is really, really good. I like this. And first of all, the kick, it's a little distorted. I mean, just slightly distorted. So just keep an eye on that, okay? Just got to make sure that shit's in check. Then you have the percussion pan right, and that was nice because, when it comes to stuff like that, I think they really should be pan, left or right or whatever, because, you don't want to have everything dead center. So it's very good that you pan that on the right. So that was really good. Although it does get a little repetitive because it's just in my right ear, like the whole way, you know what I mean? So maybe take it out a bit here and there, or just bring it down in the mix a bit or whatever. But it does sound good. I like it. And the synth is great. I mean, it's just a nice tune you have going on and stuff. The only thing is that as I'm listening to it, okay, it just seems like something's about to happen. That's the impression I get. Like something else is gonna come in and just overpower that synth, or just complement that synth and stuff. But nothing came in, and I was a little disappointed in that. I mean, honestly, it's a type of beat that just keeps building. Like it should be just building and building and building. And not saying like you should add a whole bunch of instruments, but just think about that when you're making a beat like this, where you just try to add some stuff as you go along and try to bring things in, take things out or whatever, but just keep the beat moving, keep it moving. Because about halfway through the beat, I hear the low end, it's like a synth bass line, I guess you have, maybe like a saw or something. That's what it kind of sounded like. But anyway, it sounds like it's about to creep up. And I'm listening to it, I'm like, yes, I want to hear that come in, but it didn't really come in, because that would have been so nice to have that come in a little louder in the mix, So I would play with that part. I mean, play with that a bit and see what you can come up with, because I think that would make it a lot better, But I mean, as it is right now, it's a really good beat. I like it, but like I said, I just think, I don't know, I get the impression that just something else should be coming in to complement everything and stuff, and but keep it like the synth stuff, what I mean? Because right now it just sounds really good as is. So, but check that out. About a minute, I think it's about a minute into the mix or something. It just sounds like the low end's about to come in and do something, but then it didn't. So, but it's a nice beat though. I really like that. All right, so next up we got Simon Sills with Paradise. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Simon Sills with Paradise. All right, so for this one, first of all, the kick and the bass go so well together. That's the first thing I thought of. The first thing I heard is that the bass, first of all, the bass by itself is really nice. It just sounds so good in the mix. but the kick really complements it. It's nice. It fits really well. The actual drum track is very well put together. I like that. You know, the snare, you got that nice reverb echoing out on the snare, so that's really good. Good drum patterns and everything. So I really like that. The drums and the bass. What I don't like though is actually the rest. Really, I mean, not that it's bad. It's just that I just don't like the tune that you're playing. I mean, the synth sounds okay. It's you know, it's good. The whole beat's put together very well. You have a nice little pattern going. Then you have like a hook. Then you come back. But I just don't like that synth stuff. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm just not crazy about that tune. I think if you keep the bass and the drums, like for me, I would do that and then just rework the rest, because maybe it's not so much the synth, the type of synth you're using, but it's the tune. I don't know. I think maybe it's because also it's just it's also because that the synth you're using, it's pretty high up there in the range, right? In the EQ range. So I mean, I think you should have some kind of low end synth going on or something like that. You know, I don't know. That's just my preference. I don't know, but I mean, it is a well put together beat. I just don't like the tune of it. You know, the sound of that of that synth and the tune. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe have like some kind of synth on the low end part, and then have, you know, have what you have right now on top of it or something. I don't know, but I just think there's something kind of missing with it as well. You know, but yeah, just the synth stuff, because the drums and the bass are really good. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you have a beat where, you know, it's well put together, but then you listen to it later on. You know, like that's what I do. I listen to it later on, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, I don't like this. You know, like it sounded good at the beginning, like when I first started making the beat. You know, I come back to it a day later, a couple days later, and I'm like, yo, this is not good. I don't like this. You know, but anyway, but that's just me. But yeah, so I don't know. I would just maybe rework the synth, maybe get another tune going, and like just add some kind of low end synth to it or something. Try that. But like I said, it's well put together though. I like that. That's the number one thing I liked about this whole thing, is that it's just well put together. But yeah, especially the kick and the bass, that's really nice. So yeah, I mean, it's up to you, but you know, I would just kind of redo the synth stuff. So, but yeah, I like it though. All right, so next up, we got the Nile Beats with Furry. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was the Nile Beats with Furry. All right, so for this one, I like the kick, very good. Okay, it's a good kick, but the snare, I want to hear more of the snare because it's very, very low key. Like it's not smacking hard. It's not a hard sounding snare. I want to hear that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like in your face, whatever, but just louder, something more prominent. And also for the hat, I don't really hear the hi-hat until a few, maybe a bit like halfway through or something. All of a sudden I hear it, but it's just like you're only using it as like a hook, basically. But for a trap beat, you got to have that hi-hat in there. It's got to be like this like fast hi-hat rolling or something. But those are the couple of things right there. But it's kind of like the previous beat that I just reviewed, where it's the same thing. It's like, it's a well put together beat. It's just the synth is not, I don't like the synth tune. It's just not a good tune, so. And, it happens to a lot of people. It happens to me as well, whether I'm using synths. Sometimes I use synths, sometimes I use samples. And sometimes, you put something together and all of a sudden it's like, you come back to it later and you're like, yo, I don't like this. It's whack, but I mean, to each his own, but I just think that, you should keep the drums you have. I don't think you have a bass line in there. It sounds like you just have an 808 that you're using, and that's fine. But I would keep that and then just redo the synth. I mean, you could keep that synth sound. That's fine, but just redo it, because the way it is right now, it's kind of like just a simple tune. It's not great, and it's also because of the type of synth that you're using. I think it's just very, very loud in the mix, so I would just kind of rework it a bit, like just bring it down the mix so it's not so loud, bring up the drums a bit, especially the snare. I want to hear more of the hi-hat. But for this tune you just did, no, I wouldn't keep that. I mean, I would just change it up and stuff, I mean, on the other hand, it might be okay if you just have some rapper on top of it. It might be okay, I mean, because a lot of times, some rapper will just, be spitting over a beat. It doesn't sound good on its own, but with vocals on top, it sounds fine. I mean, that's what you need a lot of times for a rapper, right? You just need, he just needs a simple beat. So, but I would just redo it, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of like the previous beat, the same type of thing. But yeah, I would just kind of redo that stuff and all that, and that's why it's important. I think is for people to, when you make a beat, that's fine. It might sound great at first. I think people should just start practicing, getting into the practice of coming back to it like a day or two later and seeing how it is. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, give that a try. All right. So next up, we got White Boy Jack with Tinted. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was White Boy Jack with Tinted. And hold on a sec here. All right. Yeah. So, okay. So with this beat, first of all, I like the kick, man. That's a really nice kick. It's a nice thumping kick. That's some good shit right there. You know, because a lot of times I'm hearing beats where people are not using hard hitting kicks, you know, just kind of laid back, light kicks, you know, and that's okay in certain situations. But a lot of times, you know, you're just going to need a nice thick kick, you know. So in this case, it's good. I like it. The snare, though, I'm not a fan of because you got it in stereo, you know, and I don't think it's really good to do that, you know, because the snare is the type of sound where it's, you know, it's high, it should be dead center. Okay, I mean, you know, you hear like some old funk or jazz, especially jazz tracks and stuff like that, and it might have like the whole drum track actually just panned to the left or something, you know, and it works, but it's kind of weird too, you know. But anyway, but in your case, you know, with the snare, yeah, just get a regular snare. You know, I wouldn't put it in stereo like that because it just sounds weird in a mix like that. And you know, you have the bass line where actually I don't think it's really a bass line. I think it's more or less like I think you're just hitting the 808 maybe. That's what it kind of sounds like. Anyway, but it's okay, but I would just kind of, you know, minimize it a bit and stuff. Don't hit it so much. And as far as the tune you have, okay, that background synth you got going on that you're looping, you know, actually keep it, but I would just lower it in the mix. Put it very low in the mix so that, you know, you don't really hear it too much. It's just kind of sitting in the background, just filling up that space. But for the main sound you have, you know, I think you're just hitting it too much. You're just bringing it in too much. I think you just really need to, you know, have that come in every couple bars or something like that. Every second bar or something, have that sound, you know, because it just sounds kind of repetitive or something like that. So like, you know, you could keep it, but just every 2 bars or something, and then bring in some other instrument. So by putting that every 2 bars, then you could bring in some other instrument, and like, you know, like a lead synth or something, you know, some kind of synth lead. Bring that in, you know, because now you'll have more space open. So now you can bring in the synth lead, and you can make a tune with that, and that'll change the whole thing right there, you know. So give that a shot because I think that's what's missing with this, really, because right now it just kind of sounds repetitive. It's almost annoying, right, when you hear that sound over and over. And I think, you know, a lot of beat makers, they got to start, you know, they got to start minimizing some of the sounds they use, you know, because we got too many beats out there where the mix is just too loud. It's just too much going on and stuff. So yeah, so just minimize those things, and that way you free up some space to be able to bring in a synth lead and do something with that. You know, but yeah, give that a shot and see what happens. All right, so that's it from me. I'm Mr. Fade. This is Attack of the Beats. Keep sending the beats in. I'll keep reviewing them. And my favorite beat is, the winner is, drum roll please, Matt D with Blue Sky. Let's check it out.